So today we're gonna talk about one that's probably been in everybody. Not everybody, but it's been a problem probably in a lot of people's tanks, and they probably have no clue what to do because you look up on Google and they don't tell you nothing. So I'm just gonna make this video and actually show you real footage of these worms because they're in this tank. But just to let you know, they're not they're not um, as big as a problem as you think they are. Yes, they don't look good, but they can easily be solved and get rid of. And that is Planaria worms. I think that's how you pronounce it. I just call them Planaria worms. That's how it looks to me. So we're just gonna call them Planaria worms for this video. But I'm just gonna talk. But Planaria worms they're a flatworm, kind of like a parasite, but they're not a parasite. I guess you can consider them a parasite, but they're not harmless. They're not harmless to you. They're not harmless to the fish. So if they're not harmless, why do we have them? Well, let's get into them. First, I'll kind of show you what they kind of look like. There's these white... See how good we can... Oh, here we go. Now, I do not know how well this is going to focus on them. Oh, there we go. Now, I'm shaking the camera way too much, but if this was steady, you could see them moving right now. But as you can see how they're all over my glass? They reproduce like crazy, and once you get some of them, it's like game over because then they're just gonna keep reproducing, producing. So how do we get rid of them? Well, there's no way to get rid of them because they're always gonna be in your soil. They're gonna be in your soil. They're gonna come from somewhere in your tank, mostly in the soil. They're always gonna, and they're actually almost every aquarium has these worms, or at least has them. They just don't get big and noticeable. It's like when they say we have bugs in our skin, but you don't see them, right? But they're there. Well, it's like these. They're in your aquarium, everybody's aquariums. You just don't see them because they're microscopic. But the reason they get so big and then they get all noticeable like this is because you have a lot of excess food, maybe on the soil, or you just have a lot of food, and so they come up and they start eating and eating. Well, not really eating, but they get a lot of food source, and that's what gets them to reproduce and get bigger, and that's when they get noticeable to the human eye. And then they'll start reproducing like this, and you get a bunch of them on the side of the tanks. But that's basically it. So first thing you need to do first of all, you're not going to really do anything to get rid of them right away. So the first thing you need to do is gravel vac. If you have gravel vac the heck out of your soil. You might have so much food down in there. Me, I have ADA, so I actually really didn't have a clue at first how I got these worms. But then I realized to cycle this tank, I dropped like 10 Plecto wafers in here, or Corridor wafers, whatever, just wafers, and basically I left them to rot so they can cycle the tank. Well, I put 10 in there, which was already a dumb idea. I just basically spread them out and throughout the whole tank, and that caused a lot of excess food to build up because there's no fish in here. There's no ammonia to turn that to nitrates and then nitrate. The cycle ain't going on, so all this food's just getting used up by these worms, and then they're just gonna reproduce and take over the tank. And that's basically just how they get here. Now they could come from plants and all that, but they're basically in your water source, and they're gonna stay in your soil, and you're never gonna see them. But when you get too much excess food, they're just gonna. Now that might not be always the problem, but that's pretty much number one why you might have them. Now to get rid of them, like I said, gravel vac, basically do a big water change, 40-50%, something like that. Just do something that's big, but like if you have a really big tank, I mean, I would mostly gravel vac, but changing the water is not as important as needing gravel vac. But if you have a small tank like this, 20 gallon, like I have in this, 50% water change is definitely manageable, and you can solve the problem pretty quickly. Now, I've been having this for the past couple weeks. Honestly, I haven't even been doing water changes, that's why. Because I kind of want to keep the cycle tank going. Not that water changes are going to affect any of that, but I'm just trying to get as much, bacteria buildup as possible. And what else? So these worms, they're really not that big. They'll start just piling everywhere, which makes them look big, and they'll just start getting all over the place. Now, and it just becomes a headache. It looks ugly to look at. You can't just take your algae scraper and just scrape them off. It's not gonna work. Trust me. One thing, once you gravel vac, one thing you could do is turn up your air pumps all the way and turn up your filter all the way. Mine's not on right now because I need to auto top off this. You can obviously see it doesn't look very good right now because I need to auto top off to the top, because this is how much water I lose in like a week. So auto top off and then get all the flow you can. I have a skimmer right here, so I can just easily use that as flow, and it'll start pushing all the flow and basically get so much flow that they can't stick to the glass. And so they're just gonna be floating around the tank, getting through the filter sucked up. And basically, you want to keep doing water changes every couple days. Get the tank where there's no food in it, and basically you're basically just gonna starve the worms to death. And that's what's gonna get them to just go away, or at least not go away, but they're not gonna reproduce no more. They're gonna basically die, go back to where they came from, and you'll never see them again, as long as you keep up with everything that I said. But when you first get them, don't freak out. They're not gonna hurt you. I mean, they prove how much they don't hurt you. I mean, I can touch them right now, get them off the glass. I mean, they're not gonna do anything to you. Don't be afraid like they're gonna come and go into your insides and eat you alive. They're not. Some people think the weirdest thing, so they're not gonna do any of that. But you do want to solve the problem because they're not very fun to look at, and some people, they don't actually mind them because the fish will eat it. And that's actually another problem, is when you don't have fish in here, of course they're all going to build up, because if you have fish in here like bottom dwellers and you have all kinds of fish, even if these do come out, you never see them because all the fish usually eat them off the substrate. Or even so, I mean, every aquarium has them. It's just your fish might eat them, or they just don't come out because you take care of your maintenance. It's not like my maintenance isn't bad. It's just I did that one thing that messed me up, was trying to cycle the tank with a bunch of excess food that no fish was even eating, so it was just rotten. So I know the problem, that I know what I did wrong. So now you need to see what you did wrong and now fix your problem. But so that's basically Planaria worms. If you have other questions about them, if you have some serious problem, because there is other worms. So if you see a white worm, it should be these worms, but they might be something totally different. So if you have any other questions, definitely in the comments, because I have plenty of experience now with them. And I'm gonna auto, fill up this tank all the way, and then get the filters back where they are. Take that pinky filter out, because obviously you can see it's getting pretty disgusting. It's so weird how my filtration still gets dirty and there's not even fish in it yet. That there's nothing. It's not like no fish is kicking up the ADA to turn it brown. I already know what's in here that's turning this water brown, or at least turning the filter pads brown. I mean, who knows? But probably all that excess everything in this tank. And also, before we end this, if you guys have any auto dosers that could fit in a good size, this is compared to my hand, this is how big the bottom part of my stand is. It's about a foot tall. So if you have any like auto dosers that you guys have that could work for freshwater, that are not that bad in price, definitely put them in the comments, because I think it'd be really cool to put an auto top off on this tank just to help it that much more. But other than that, I'll get the cleaning, we'll get rid of these worms, and we'll add the special fish.